It's the bye week for Auburn, which means it's accountability week for Hugh Freeze. Which coach is he going to put on the chopping block, if any at all? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us all, turn it out. We're here with Caesar Walker, co-host and co-owner at the War Report, joining me today to talk a little Auburn football. On today's show, we're going to talk about potential coaching changes. And in the second half, we're going to talk about potential coaching changes. So let's start at the top here. Uh, on yesterday's show, we went over it extensively. Now it's time to dig into the weeds here. Auburn had an absolute pathetic showing on offensive line. Before we started recording, you noted that Auburn leads the league in a terrible stat category that nobody should lead the league in, especially after the head coach comes out and says an NFL scout told him that he had 6 linemen with offensive grades. If that's to be believed, then I got to believe there's somewhat of a coaching issue. We've seen former Auburn offensive linemen come out and say that these guys just aren't, they're just not mauling people. I think Reese Dismukes talked about how Ryan Pugh should be hired. Chad Slade is openly vying for the job of offensive line coach on Twitter. Talk to me, man. Accountability, man, accountability for what this looked like. Not that they lost, for what they looked like in losing. And I gotta believe that that's going to necessitate some coaching changes this week.
So let's be clear. Let's be clear, Mike. We're only talking about one aspect of what was awful in the offense, right? I don't know if this fixes the offense in and of itself because there's so many things that went wrong on Saturday and
Yep.
there's so many things that have been going wrong with this offense overall. We're only talking about offensive line today. Okay. So before people jump in the comments and say, hey, it's this, we know, we know. But when we talk about accountability, one thing that's glaring, Mike, and one thing that stands out is that Auburn has given up the most sacks out of 134 teams in
That's
college
crazy.
football.
That is a crazy stat to lead in at this
They
point.
have given up 21 sacks so far in this season through 5 games. They're giving up, that's an average of a little over 4 sacks a game. Um, that's just bad. They're one of the most penalized teams in college football. And when you look at how Auburn has lost games, when you look at some of the missed opportunities, when you look at uh, first downs that were hard to come by on Saturday that were called back because of some type of a holding, some type of illegal procedure. I don't understand why there's still illegal procedures 5 games into the season, Mike. When you look at this offense and you look at the issues along the offensive line, they're at their best when they're in run block, right? But asking these linemen to get in pass pro, it has just been a disaster.
Yeah, it has.
It's been awful. I didn't even know this was possible. And yes, if it's true, what Hugh Freeze said that he had what 6 offensive linemen.
6 linemen receive NFL grades from an NFL scout.
That is, if that is true, if we're to believe that that is a true statement, and Hugh Freeze, to his credit, I don't think he's known to just lie about stuff like that. If that's true, that's an even worse of an indictment on the job, the coaching job, that for the offensive line. This has just been inexplicable, Mike. I don't understand when you look at the statistics and when you look at how this is played out in games. I don't know. Hugh Freeze, we don't know how this season is going to play out. Auburn is just 3-2, right? A lot can happen, and Hugh Freeze can still be Auburn's coach at the end of the season. I know, much to the dismay of how fans feel right now, that is a very big possibility. I don't know how Jake Thornton survives at the end of the season. I really don't see a scenario where he unless Auburn turns this around in a major way and runs the table. This a lot of the issues that we've seen along the offensive line they didn't just start in year 3, Mike.
Yeah.
They have been pervasive throughout Hugh Freeze's tenure, and there has to be some accountability for that.
There's got to be a lot of accountability. Caesar, the narrative about the offensive line persisted before Hugh Freeze. He took the job understanding that that is a position group that has lacked for a very, very long time. And I'm the other part of this is the play calling didn't seem to cover them very much on Saturday.
No,
It was a lot of very slow developing plays. A&M was doing a decent job, it seemed, covering receivers downfield. Jackson Arnold, we know he has some issues pulling the trigger, but it wasn't all that, right? It wasn't all just
sure.
Jackson holding on to the ball, right? It's a combination of things, and you have to fix what you can. So at this point, I do you remember way back when you and I were in school at Auburn? Uh, Tubbs pulled the whole O line. They were playing so bad. He just
Yeah,
said, "Screw it,
yeah,
I'm benching everybody." I
yeah.
believe it was at Florida that they did it. They ended up winning the ball game, and it was widely believed to be a genius move by him. But the O line just wasn't getting it done. Brandon Cox was the quarterback of that team. You know, he was a good quarterback, but he needed protection. He wasn't the most fleet of foot. And if you're
No,
Hugh Freeze, you have to feel the urgency of this, right? For him to get in front of the media and say, "We're so close, just well, this last little bit of patience, if there's any left, is all fans and players and boosters have." Hugh, I'm
Mike.
sorry, they're out of patience.
Mike, this is a failure if you're asking for patience in a year that you projected was the year. You shouldn't be asking for patience in the year you prophesied would be the year you would turn things around.
Yeah, yeah,
No, patience was in year 1 and 2, Mike. It shouldn't be we shouldn't be asking for more patience. If I told my job, my boss, that hey, in 3 years I'm going to really be earning my check. You give me 3 years. I wouldn't even get to the year 3,
yeah,
right? It is amazing how again as fans and as media the desire to see success, the hope that Auburn fans have had to see a very similar product with even more talented players is infuriating. And when you get back to offensive line, Mike, it's what's been interesting about because you said that the issues along the offensive line have existed before Hugh Freeze, and that's true. But these issues are at a distinct position. Left tackle play this year has just been an atrocity, Mike. And
it has.
to me, I'm like, you thought that this was addressed through the portal. You thought that you brought in a guy who actually did pretty well at Virginia Tech, at Xavier Chaplin. You brought in Mason Murphy. You brought in these guys, and the hope and the idea was because Too Tall was the right tackle, he got replaced. He got replaced.
Yeah,
So the hope was that you fix those issues, and it seems as though the play at the tackle position has gotten progressively like this unit has regressed, Mike.
yeah.
And it shouldn't be so with a unit that experienced. You would think that Auburn was starting a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. These are very experienced players who the production has been left a lot to be desired.
Ike so astutely noted that it's not as if people haven't been running the ball on A&M. So I really don't understand what went wrong for Auburn other than you just got some sort of coaching or teaching issue here. The problem is too widespread for it to be the players, if that makes sense. Because what are the chances that all of them are bad? It's that's a non sensibility, man. That can't be it.
Right.
So Hugh Freeze definitely, I'm telling you right now, there are some very, very invested people in his ear as we speak, telling him, look, you better get this together. And you better get this together fast. And in year three, if this AD is going to continue to go to bat for Hugh, I don't. He's running. Again, he's running out of excuses. He went and told the whole world on Paul Feinbaum last year before the Oklahoma game about how many players that Auburn had to replace, and this was a rebuild. And again, I'm stressing it's not how they lost. It's not that they lost. It's how they lost.
Correct.
It's how they lost. That is the issue that we're having here. I think it's an issue that a lot of people are going to continue to have, and Hugh just has to find answers at this point. We're done with excuses. We just need answers. And if he can provide those, then maybe Auburn has a chance, right? Maybe Auburn has a chance to salvage this season. Now, it seems strange to sit here saying, "Hey, with two losses, the season is done." So if you're hearing that and you're thinking, like, "What the heck, guys? Like the season's not over after two losses," you're absolutely right. But you got Georgia coming to town. It's not getting any easier.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
you got to find
Right.
some answers because after the third loss, it's going to be the rhetoric's going to change a little bit.
One of the things that we said, Mike, after week two was we went into this season thinking if you can just get past this three-headed monster of Oklahoma, A&M, and Georgia, and you're able to get a game. Shoot, if you're able to get two games, the sky's the limit on what your season can look like. 2 weeks into this season, we realized the back half of this schedule, it doesn't look like a cakewalk. At the time, Arkansas, who still had Sam Pittman, uh, they looked better. They looked improved. Missouri looks, they still look like a decent football team. Vanderbilt doesn't look like the Vanderbilt of old, right? And so even if you got past Georgia and you had pretty much your goals in front of you, you were still 4-2, right? Uh, 5-1 even. You're talking about a playoff contention, right? But after that, you're like, man, Auburn still has some tough games on the road, tough games against some opponents who are scrappy. And this conference, uh, even the bottom feeders seem to be improved. And so, to your point, Mike, if Georgia's coming, but Missouri's coming, like these are teams that don't, they're not looking as playing like Auburn is playing. Auburn is not looking as though they're looking like they're going to have a difficult time getting through the rest of this season based off of what we've seen so far, unless you get to turn things around. Time is of the essence, Mike. And if you're going to get through this schedule and skate, because we talked about it, 8 is the floor. 8 wins is the floor. And I'm looking
Yeah.
at this schedule and I'm like, ugh,
Oh
it's
man.
tough to find
Yeah.
8 wins right now.
Some of those cupcakes looking a little tougher at this point. Look, we're going to get to the break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what changes might be coming and if it should be the man at the top. This episode of the War Report is brought to you by our friends at AIM and Associates. That's Abel's, Iron, and more. Participating in a 401k is important, but so is investing those dollars wisely. Most plans have limited investment options, and the long term value of your account can vary widely based on the choices you make. The reality is, many participants struggle with how to allocate their 401k and don't have a resource to help. Now you do. The team at Abel's I Know More and Associates will review your plan options, discuss your goals, and help you choose an allocation strategy that works for you. The best part, there's no charge for this service, just unbiased fiduciary guidance to help you get the most out of your retirement. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit aiminc.com today to take advantage of this free 401k review. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I Know More and Associates for this endorsement. AMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Also, want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Looking for the best spot in town for all your tobacco and vape needs? Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered with 4 convenient locations. Stop by Airport Thruway or swing through Victory Drive or check us out on Phoenix City, in Phoenix City on the 280 bypass. Whether you're stocking up or trying something new or just need quick service, Sky Tobacco and Vape delivers quality products at the best prices. Sky Tobacco and Vape, where convenience meets a satisfaction. Also, want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use the codes on the screen to get your discount on your Golden's Cast Iron products. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. I also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you are looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault is your one-stop shop. My guy Steve Watkins serving up fresh cuts for the community. I appreciate him for sponsoring this segment. Great partners with the War Report. Please stop through. Get fresh with the week for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Who, if not Jake Thornton,
Oh boy. Oh boy.
should get the axe? Where does this start and stop for Auburn? We're going to close our segment talking
Oh
about
boy.
just that, man. Accountability. What kind of accountability are Auburn fans going to get? Now, you've heard me talk about this before. Auburn fans have been amazing through this run of losing seasons. They've shown up to games. They partied like it was the Super Bowl for win number 5 against Texas A&M at home, and they've given to NIL. They've signed up for War Eagle Plus. Millions of dollars have been sunk into this program, and you got the players you asked for. You got the Perrys, you got the Cam Colemans, you got Jackson Arnold. That's your guy. You picked him, so I don't want to hear crap about Jackson. I want to know what this coach is going to do to make this better, and I've got to think that John Cohen is maybe feeling the heat a little bit here. He's been effusive in his praise for Hugh Freeze and his process and the time that it takes. But how much longer are fans going to have to wait to see a competent offense? I thought Bruce Pearl's tweet about the whole "we're so close" thing, when we just have to find an offensive identity, it's out of touch. And respectfully, Bruce Pearl should sit this one the hell out, man. Auburn retired him a millionaire. Auburn gave Bruce his second chance. Now, he took advantage of it, but he showed progress with a bunch of guys, honestly, that were picked to finish that run that they made to the SEC tournament. To the SEC tournament final early in his tenure that nobody saw coming.
Yeah.
The 2019 Final Four run, that was a lot of guys who, weren't at the top of anybody's recruiting boards, but he did more with less. And then when he got more, we saw consistent enough results. Fans may have been frustrated with the early tournament exits, but they were a team that made the tournament.
Listen. I love Bruce, and Auburn loves Bruce. I think the
He's out of
the
touch with Richie,
emotions
man.
the emotions of him retiring abruptly still kind of linger. They're still kind of new for me. Um, he didn't say anything wrong. They are close, I guess.
Are they? The result was close. But was this
Right.
offense close to
But
anything that
but
looks?
my point here is you've been close for 3 years.
Right.
Like, put it in context. In a vacuum, his comment wasn't totally inaccurate. But when you put it in context, this is year 3, and you have been projecting this to be the year that Auburn turns things around. To still say we're close in year 3 is failure, Mike. You're failing right now. your offense, you are an offensive coach. It'd be one thing if you were a defensive coordinator and your offense looked like this. This is what you specialize in. You specialize in scoring points. You specialize in elite QB play. In fact, that was one of the things that Hugh Freeze talked about once he got to Auburn. It is year 3. So when you put Bruce Pearl's comments into proper perspective and context, no, it is incorrect. I know he wants to be an ambassador for Auburn, but to your point, this was out of touch.
Yeah.
And I think if you're reading the room and you're hearing what Auburn fans alike are saying, they're frustrated because it's the same production, it's the same stuff year after year. It's the same dysfunctional offense. It's one week Auburn looks decent offensively, they're close, and then the next week they come out and just lay an egg, and it doesn't look like it doesn't look like they were prepared. They looked out coached. They looked uninspired at times. They looked confused. They didn't look like they didn't know what to do next. That shouldn't be of a Hugh Freeze team that's in year 3. This is your guys. This is your team now, and for them to look that inept offensively, that's on Hugh. You asked about who do you hold accountable. I hate this conversation
Mm-hmm.
because, as you have alluded, you're not just firing a guy, you're firing a guy's family.
Yeah.
Like that
I
guy's
get it.
family is out. So this is a tough conversation. But man, Mike, when I just read to you the stat about where Auburn's offensive line is, and we were supposed to believe that Hugh Freeze has done a great job, which he has. He's addressed needs, but the coaching doesn't appear to be there. And a lot of the issues we've seen so far through 5 games are purely the result of coaching. I don't know how Jake Thornton survives. I know people have mentioned the tight ends coach, which yes, tight end play has left a lot to be desired. But let's be real. We were not expecting a lot of production from
But
the
yeah,
tight end
that's
position this
fair.
year.
That's fair. But so I come back to play calling and system. Why are you running? Why did you go out to get all these wide receivers? And then when Horatio Fields can't go, they went running back to 12 personnel.
Yeah.
I, I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
noted when we were talking after the game how much they ran 12 personnel, and yeah, I don't know. I just don't think you have the tight end play for that one. You're giving up a record amount of sacks. So if you're keeping them in the block, that's not working.
Right.
I
Right. And
I
I was led to believe that Auburn had a lot more receivers than 3
then
guys.
Horatio, yeah, yeah. Look, this isn't a Perry Thompson issue. That I don't know if you saw, but the deep ball to Perry, it was a really good play. The DB got his hand in there at the last minute.
Yeah.
He was going to the ground. The DB got his hand in there and knocked it away at the last minute. I thought at first, damn, you got to catch that. But then when I watched the replay, it was a great play by Texas A&M DB. You've got the receivers. You've got 5-star guys, 4-star guys everywhere. This system has to be able to get them the ball in space. It's got to get the ball out of Jackson Arnold's hand if you don't have the offensive line to block these
Yeah.
slow developing plays. You got to call something that they can block for, or you got to run the football. 2 carries for Damari Alston. He wasn't hurt.
Mike, that's
Did he
that
get demoted?
I thought this was Auburn's strength. It looked that way in the first couple of weeks that this was Auburn's strength, that they could run the football. Jackson Arnold running the RPO, pulling and running, giving it to Damari, giving it to Cobb, and those guys have been eating earlier in the season. You go on the road, hostile environment, and defenses are pinning their ears back to bring pressure. You got to run the football. You got to play to your team's strength. You can't. You're setting them up to fail when you're putting them in obvious passing downs because you're trying to execute something that he said weeks ago the passing attack needs work.
Yeah, yeah. Look, um, we'll see. We'll see what happens this week, Caesar. It's going to be an interesting week for Auburn football. Again, they are on bye this week, and then they come home to Jordan Hare. after a brutal 2-week road trip in conference to play Georgia at home. So we'll see how they do. This has been another edition of the Auburn Express, brought to you by friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code reporter, get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop may have something that has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop could be the place for you. Give them a visit and let them know that we sent you by using code report today. Our guy Richard dropping a little something extra in there for everybody using code report today. Also want to thank our friends at Sets for Society. The road to knowing self starts at setsforsociety.ai. They have custom personality assessments that can let you know a little bit more about how you can be a better teammate, a better coworker, a better partner. Visit them to get your personalized personality assessment started today. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Guys, we want to hear from you. Should somebody be fired? Who should it be? Hit the comments after the video. Let us know who you think should be on the chopping block. Or if nobody at all, we want to hear that too. And while you're there, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, Warrior.